2. Right, we're going to look at 2 songs this week. They're both fairly simple. It's the Cranberries, Zombie, and Snow Patrol, Chasing Cars. Right, so we're going to learn both of those songs. We're going to break these songs up into their different sections. So we'll take a look at the intro and the verse and the chorus separately, and then we'll learn how to put it all together at the end. What I'm going to do as well is when we put it all together, I've slightly sort of reshuffled and sort of changed the song around a little bit so that it's more suitable for you playing guitar on your own. If we were to play them exactly how the song sort of sounds and how they do it, it would be pretty monotonous and boring just playing on your own. So I've just changed them around a little bit. We're still learning the exact same parts, so if you want to learn how to play them exactly and play along to the originals, then later on in the term I'll sort of show you how to do that by searching for tabs and playing along and all that sort of stuff. So for now we're going to learn these 2 songs and we're going to break them down and we'll do them slowly, put them all together at the end and sort of play along together. So let's get straight to it and learn those 2 songs. Intro. Right, for the first song, Zombie, we are going to be playing 4 chords throughout the whole song. So there's only 4, and they're very simple chords, they're very short chords, and we're just going to be sort of strumming them differently for the different parts, and then there's a fill, which we get onto later, which has the sort of picking the scaly lead bits. Alright, so for the intro, we're going to be playing an E minor. Then we're going to be playing a C7, then up to a G6, and an F sharp. So make sure you have your notes with you, so you got your chords and how to play everything, and we're going to go through the intro slowly. The only thing we need to do with the intro, which is the trickiest sort of part, is the strumming. And I'm going to show that to you over here. Alright, so if we have a look, we've got a down, 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 and then a down, up, up, down, up, down, up. And they've sort of been broken off into those sort of 3 parts. So we need to get our strumming pattern right before we do anything. Down, 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 up, up, down, up, down, up. Alright, so stop the video and practice that. Just practice doing those 3 little parts of the strumming on their own, and then we'll add them together when we rejoin the video. Alright, so once you've practiced that, we need to join those parts together. It's going to look and sound like this. And I'm just going to play over here with an E minor so you can see. It's going to go the 3 downs, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. So together very slowly. Let's do that again. Again. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, up. Alright, so you need to get that strumming pattern sounding sort of fairly smooth, and once it gets comfortable, then we're just going to be playing the chords, and that's the sort of the very easy part. So this strumming takes a lot of practice. What I want you to do is stop the video and just practice that on your own. You can listen to the song as well. It's a little bit harder to hear in the song because it's sort of very sort of in the mix, it's pretty sort of quiet and it's in the background, it's not played the whole time. So we've got to get that strumming pattern right. I'm going to play it a number of times again for you to sort of practice along too. So make sure you stop the video, you practice it slowly, and then you try and practice along with me. And I'll play it nice and slow, and you literally, this will take you a while because it's quite a new sort of different strumming pattern. So have a lot of patience with it and practice it very slowly before you tackle the chords. So we're going to practice that strumming pattern for a little bit, and then, as I said, stop the video, keep practicing it until you can play along with me. Alright, we're going to hold an E minor chord. I'm strumming over here so that you can see it together with the chord, but I do want you to strum it back by the sound hole. Alright. Down, 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 up, up, down. So you're going for that second part, down, up, and up again, down, down, up, then you circle back and go up again. So down, up, down, and then up, down, up. So very slowly all together. So that is your strumming pattern. If you're using a plectrum, use a soft one and just hold the plectrum and do the same motions that my hand has been doing here, just using and playing a plectrum. Alright, so that's the hardest part of the song. The rest of the song, thankfully, is all much easier. For the intro, we need to learn that strumming pattern. It's the bulk of what we need to do. And then we're just going to be changing chords. So stop the video, practice that strumming very slowly, isolate that strumming pattern, and just keep practicing it until you can just keep playing it over and over and over and over and over. Then it just comes to changing chords. Alright, so for the intro, we need to play E, C, G, and F sharp, and then we do it again. E, C, G, and F sharp, and that will be our whole intro. And we're going to be doing one strumming pattern per chord. So let's take a look at that together. I'm going to do it very slowly, and I'm just going to keep going through those chords. I'm probably going to do it 4 times in a row. And that is all you have to do for the intro. For the intro, we're going to do the strumming pattern, and then we're going to play those 4 sets of chords twice, and we'll get onto that in putting the whole song together. Alright, so stop the video, practice that strumming pattern over and over and over. Just sort of play the section of the video where I'm strumming it, and then stop it, rewind, play, stop, rewind, and just keep practicing that over and over and over. Once you get comfortable with the strumming pattern, add the chords in, play along with me, and then do the same. Just keep practicing over and over and over, and then stop the video and practice it on your own. And that is basically the intro for Zombie. the chorus is pretty simple. We're going to be playing the exact same chords. It's just our strumming for our right hand and our counts that change a little bit. We're going to play only the sort of top 3 strings for the E. Then for the C, we're just going to be playing those 3 strings, so not the thickest. The G, top 3, and the F sharp, top 3. And for this hand over here, we're going to pinch our fingers together like we did in the palm muting and as if we were using a plectrum. And we're going to hold the E minor, and our counts are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. And we're going to be going down like that. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a. So just a couple of notes on that. We're playing these, we learn a little bit later in the year something called power chords, later on this term actually. So this is kind of a little pre sort of power chord thing that we're doing. We play the E and we just play with these fingers, top 3 strings. When I get to the C, I'm still playing this top string, but I'm muting it here with this finger, which we learn a little bit later on in the year. So for now, you can just sort of try and aim as best as possible to play those 3 strings. But you can hit the top string, because I'll be teaching how to mute that out. So for now, if you can, just when you're playing that C, just put this finger down on this string. Instead of using the very tip of your finger, you get a little bit lazy with it, and then the top of your finger, the tip of your finger, gently touches this string and it mutes it out. So it's another sort of muting thing that we're doing. And that's how I get away with that C, playing it still banging away on that top string and it just gets muted out. And then up to the G, you're doing the same, the F sharp, you're doing the same. So it's actually quite simple. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a for each chord. You play each set of chords, the E, C, G, and F sharp. You play that 4 times to play this chorus. And the idea is to get it sort of thick and heavy sort of sound out of it. So there's contrast between your intro and the verse. Because the intro, we're playing the same chords, and so are we in the verse. But we're strumming it differently and we're playing open strings, so we get a brighter sort of sound. And then when it comes to this chorus, we're just going to try and get it a little bit sort of heavier sounding. You listen at Zombie and you hear they're using electric guitar with overdrive and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty heavy as it is. So that's what I want you to focus on. The strumming's easy, the chord's easy. Try and get it to sound a little bit darker. By all means, use some palm muting where you want, experiment, play, and try and get something that we learn later in the years called dynamic. We try and create sort of a dynamic in our music, so there's changes and there's differences in volume and in style and in sort of pressure on the strings and all that sort of stuff. So for the chorus, it's the same 4 chords 4 times in a row with the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a, using our fingers or our plectrum. And then we just want to get that sort of thicker, heavier sort of sound. And that is basically how you play the chorus for Zombie. Fill. Right, we're going to learn something called a fill in this in the song, and it's basically just something that fills into the next part. It can be called many things: bridge, interlude, really doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to hold the E minor, and this fill always comes from after the chorus. So after you've done that last chord on your chorus, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you go straight back to E, and you let that ring out for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Right, once you've done that, this is the first part of the fill. You then go up to 7, and you're going to do a hammer-on. 7 to 8. That's the first part. 7 to 8. I'm showing you over here, but you're going to play it back down by the bridge. So make sure you practice that hammer-on. 7 to 8. That's the first part. Then you take your first finger and you slide it back down to 5. And you do another hammer-on. 5 to 7. 1 and third finger. Then you slide back down to 3. And you do a hammer-on to 5. Alright, so there's those 3 hammer-ons. 7 to 8, 5 to 7, and 3 to 5. And you do them one after another. Then we'll be doing a hammer-on and a pull-up, so we'll look at that now. Alright, so stop the video and practice just those 3. Alright, so after your 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, whilst that chord is sort of sounding, you can take your hand away in preparation for the hammer-ons, but then only the top string will be ringing, which is fine. So let it hang as long as possible. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so kind of by 3 and 4 and, you lift your hand up and you get it ready on your 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There should be a dot over here on your guitar, there isn't on mine. So at the 7th fret, then we play our hammer-on. Then 5, hammer-on. 3, hammer-on. And then back down to 2. We're going to do a hammer-on and a pull-off. Hammer-on, pull-off. So we're getting 3 notes. 2, 3, 2. And then we're going to go straight to the next string at the 3rd fret, and then this finger that you were picking with comes up a string and plays that 3. Hammer on pull off, and then the next note, which is 3. Alright, so stop the video and practice that on your own. So it's nice and smooth and a lot easier. Alright, back up to 7, and we do the hammer-on. 5, hammer-on. 3, hammer-on. Hammer-on pull-off at 2, and then the next note, 3. We're doing the hammer-on, the pull-off, straight to that next note. So they're kind of joined together musically, but not sort of technically, with a technique. And then the last part of that, you play the 3 again, then you take it off and you play the 0. Right, so I'm going to do all of those together so that you can hear what it sounds like. That is part of the fill. So we've got the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that is the fill. We've got our chord that we strum out, then we play our 3 hammer-ons, then a hammer-on pull-off, and the last little bit of the fill. So I'm going to play that a couple times in a row now so that you get the idea, and then you're going to stop the video and you practice it on your own. Alright, so it's a great example of how you're using hammer-ons in music and in songs. Alright, so let's look at that. First thing we do, the E minor coming from the chorus, so we're only going to be playing those 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Again. 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 Alright, and that is basically how to play the fill. Play your chord, let it ring out. If you need longer than 4 counts, give yourself 8. It really doesn't matter. You're playing this on your own anyway. There's no drummer, bassist, vocalist. There's nothing waiting for you. You can take your time and do it however you like. Try and get that ring out as you play those hammer-ons and then the hammer-on pull-off. And then it just kind of doesn't sound so empty. So let that string ring out for as long as possible. So you're playing the 3 hammer-ons, a hammer-on pull-off onto another note, and then 2 further notes. So stop the video, make sure you got your tab in front of you, go through that very slowly on your own, then come back to the video and just sort of watch how to do it and even try and play along. You'll find that you get a little bit sort of muddled up and confused quite quickly and easily, so just take it nice and slow and just practice each little bit of that individually and then add them all together. And that is basically how you play the fill. Verse. Alright, so the last section that we're going to learn is the verse. And thankfully the verse is exactly the same as the intro. So there's nothing new to learn. The only difference is in the intro we play those 4 sets of chords twice. In the verse we play those 4 sets of chords 4 times. So we're going to just go over that as a sort of refresher, and we're going to practice that strumming pattern again. Have to do for the verse. So just stop the video, practice on your own with your notes, make sure you got that strumming pattern and make sure you're giving that lots of attention because it's going to take a while. And that is basically how you play the verse. All sections together. Okay, so we've done the intro, the chorus, the fill, and the verse. So we've done all the parts that we need to know for the song. We just need to string them all together now and be able to play the song. And it's our variation of the song. All right. So have a look at the order. It's going to go intro, chorus, fill, verse, chorus, fill, verse, chorus, and end. And the end is just a very abrupt ending. The last thing you play on the chorus is the last thing that gets played. So it kind of just ends. So what we're going to do is basically in the next video, I'm going to play all of that through, and you can just sort of follow along once you've learned all the sections together. Well, once you've learned all the sections separately, then you'll be playing along with me all together in the next video. And that is basically how to play Zombie. intro. Alright, for Snow Patrol Chasing Cars, we're going to use alternate picking, and you can either use your plectrum for that, or you can use your fingers. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. We're going to go a little bit further up on the guitar, and as we have a look at the tab, we can see that on the third thickest string, at the 7th fret, that's where our first finger needs to go. Then with our pinky, we're going to go on the first, second, third thinnest string at the 9th fret. So there's a gap in the middle, 7, gap of 8, 9. We're going to be using these two fingers, just like that. Alright, so make sure you're pushing nice and tight with these two fingers, and you're going to use your thumb, and either your first finger, your I, or your thumb and your middle finger, your M. It's entirely up to you. Now we'll notice there's a lot of counts in this bar. It's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thumb and 2 and 3 and 4, and you're going to go thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, and you're going to alternate. That's the alternate picking. You can also take your pinky on this hand and you can rest it on the guitar, give you a bit more stability when you're playing this. So the first thing they ask us to do, that note over there, 7th fret, and then the 9th fret. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we go on to the second bar and do exactly the same. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. Right, so that's going to look and sound like this. And that is the intro. Easy as that. Alright, so stop the video and practice moving up to your 7th fret and your 9th fret on the middle two strings, and then practice alternating with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and on that. That is a chord, which we learn later on in the term. Alright, so that is the intro. You're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, those two notes. Now your fingers need to stretch and they need to get comfortable with that, so stop the video, practice it over and over and over. Make sure you read along with the tab and go through that nice and slowly. I'm going to play it again for you as reference. And again, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is all you have to do for the intro. And that is basically how to play intro for Snow Patrol. Verse 1. Alright, for the verse, we're going to play very much the same as we did for the intro. So you've got to practice that alternate picking and that counting. But the only difference is we're going to move our first finger, we're going to move that around a little bit. Alright, so it's not even a great deal. You go back up to the 7 and the 9 on your middle two strings, like that. And we're going to start exactly the same. We're going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and over here. Then we're going to take our first finger, and you can use your finger, keep the pressure on it, slide it back to 6. And that's where you're going to notice there's a bit of a stretch and your hand might not make that for now. So you're going to practice taking your hands away, putting them 7 and 9 and then stretching back to 6 and 9. Take your hands away, back on, and stretch back. Keep practicing that. Within a few short minutes, your fingers will start getting used to it. You keep the pressure on the guitar, and that becomes a lot easier. Alright, and that's the only difference for the first part of the verse that we have to do. Alright, so stop the video, practice that, and then rejoin at this point. If we take a look at our tab, we can see it starts exactly the same as the intro. So let's play that. 7 and 9, alternate picking. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it asks us to play 6 and 9. So that slides back. We do exactly the same. We're going to do 1 and 2, 3, 4 again. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so those first 4 bars together. 1, 1. There we go. Right. And now we're going to be taking this first finger away and we keep the pressure on that, on the 9. And we're playing an open string and that 9. And we do exactly the same. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again. Alright, and the last part, I'll go through this slowly afterwards, is this first finger goes back to the 7 and we do that again, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 1. Alright, and that is how you play the verse and the bulk of the song. So what we need to sort of remember and try and practice is it's going 7, this 9 stays here the whole time. 7 and 9, 6 and 9, open and 9, 7 and 9. It's just those 4 sort of different notes that we're playing. 7, 6, open, 7. And then it will start again with 7, 6, open, 7. So this gets played a hang of a lot and sometimes gets a bit confusing as to where you are. And that's why you will count it out. And you'll get used to it and eventually you'll subconsciously you'll know to move. But so for now it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you move. So you're going 7, 6, open and back to 7. And that is all you have to do to play the verse. And we do that pattern twice. So once you've gone 7, 6, open, 7, you do it again. 7, 6, open, 7. And then you're done. The verse is done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that twice in a row for you. So I'll be doing the whole verse. So stop the video, practice it on your own, practice stretching and moving your fingers because now your fingers need to move around. You've got to keep a lot of pressure on the guitar to get those notes sounded, otherwise they get muted and you don't hear anything. So keep practicing, and then once you're happy that you've practiced it a bit and you know what's going on, rejoin the video and you can play along with me. Alright, so here's the verse. Starting with 7 and 9, and the 9 staying here the whole time. And that was the verse all the way through. Little side note as well, put a lot of emphasis on the very first note we play, which is that first 7. It keeps a sort of a count and a beat for us. So when we're going 7 and alternate, we get through, then we go to the next chord, put a little bit of emphasis on that again, and you can put emphasis on it by literally playing it harder. And then emphasis when you change your note, and emphasis again. Now, once you've done that last bar, so once you've gone 7, 6, open, and 7, and you've played all of that, you can take your finger away and bring it back down. I subtly sort of relaxed my finger, What this does is mentally you know you're starting that loop again. Otherwise it's quite easy to get lost. You don't want to overcount, you don't want to overthink, and you don't want to sort of sit back and hope that it's ingrained in your memory yet, because it won't be. So once you've done all 4 of those notes, you can take your finger away and start that cycle again. And then it'll just make it feel a lot easier and you know exactly where you are. So stop the video, go over your notes and practice changing between those 3 notes with your fingers, and just try and get a nice smooth flow so that your counting doesn't stop like the clock, like the seconds on the clock. It just keeps ticking and you keep picking them regardless of where your finger is at what point. Right, and that's basically how to play the verse. Chorus. Okay, for Snow Patrol's chorus, the first chorus, we hold our fingers and we move around exactly like we did with the verse. We even count it out exactly the same. The only difference is, instead of picking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're now going to strum it. Okay, and we're only strumming those 2 notes together, like that. So let's have a look at the tab, and the tab is showing us that the 7 and the 9 in the first bar are sort of underneath each other. So that means we play them together, they're in line, so we play them at the same time. So we just strum it down with our first finger like that. And we're going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we do it again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then our first finger stretches down to the 6 and 9 and we do the same, strumming 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this finger goes off, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the last chord back to that 7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's all there is to that first chorus. We're going to be playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, etc. all the way through, and we're changing exactly the same sort of fingers and position as we did for the picking of the verse. So I'm going to play that through, and what we need to do for the chorus is we need to play that twice as well, all the way through. So we do that set of chords, that set of fingers, twice, that little loop. Alright, here it is. That's all you have to do for the first chorus. You can add your anders in, so you can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2. And when you change to the next sort of chord, the next finger position, you can do an ander to sort of lead into that next one. Other than that, it's very much the same. You're just strumming instead of picking. And that is basically chorus 1. Break 1. Alright, we've got 2 breaks in this song. It's where we get a little opportunity to sort of have a few sort of counts where we can move from something to something else. And you'll find out why they're quite handy now. So the first break, let's have a look at that tab. It's very simple. All we're going to do is play like we do with the intro. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with the 7 and And then the second bar, we play the 7th and we let it ring for 4 counts. So it's going to look and sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is all you have to do for the first break. You're going to play the exact same chord as you have been, while holding the same chord and picking exactly the same as you have been. You're just going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and on the second bar you just play the first note and you let that ring for 4 counts. And that is how to play break 1. Chorus 2. Alright, chorus 2 we're going to do a little bit differently. For the first chorus we strummed what we were picking. Now we're going to do the same. We're going to strum with the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's down strums. But now instead of strumming what we were picking, we're going to play those chords. So without getting too confusing and not going into too much detail, because we learn about this later in the term, the first note we were playing is an A. We then, that's the last note, we then play A, G sharp, and then down to a D. Now we're going to do the same with chords, except on that second chord, the G sharp. We're not going to do that, we're going to be playing an E, or part of an E major. So what we're doing is we're taking those notes that we started with each picking sort of bar, or every 2 bars. So every time we changed, and we changed our fingers. So that first note, that second note, that third note, back up to that 4th note. We're going to play, instead of playing single notes, we're going to play chords. Alright, so these chords, with fuller chords. So the first chord we need to do is an A major. Alright, so once you've got that A major, we need to learn the second chord, and you're going to bring your ring finger up and you're going to put it on the 2nd fret, 3rd thickest string, and then the first finger on the 3rd thinnest string at the 1st fret. It's a sort of slightly smaller version of that E major. We're just not going to play the top 2 strings. We're going to be playing from there down. And the 3rd chord, you take your first finger and you slide it up to the 2nd fret on your 3rd thinnest, and you add in your ring finger on the 2nd thinnest, 3rd fret as a D5. So that's D we're going to be playing, and that is again that note there. So those 3 chords, A, E from here downwards, and a D. Alright, so stop the video and practice those 3 chords on their own. Then rejoin the video, and all we're going to do is we're going to play this set of chords. A major, then down to your E, then to your D, and back to A. And we're going to do it exactly the same. We're going to strum and count. I'm going to do it over here so you can have a look. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and next chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Next chord. And then to your last chord in the loop, back to the A. Alright, so when you play that all together and you get a little bit smoother, that's going to be our second chorus. And we're going to do that group of chords twice as well. So I'm going to play the whole thing through for you. Stop the video, practice those 4 chords, even though there's only 3. practice those 4 chords, A, E, D, and A, over and over and over, and then rejoin the video, play along with me. You can also do in between chord changes, either in between each bar, or you can do it between the chords that are actually changing. It's entirely up to you, whatever feels good. Alright, so here is the chorus 2 all the way through. And that is how you're going to play the second chorus. It's exactly the same. If there's 2 guitarists, you can kind of play one sort of doing that strumming for chorus 1 and the other person doing that strumming for chorus 2, and you can overlap them and they'll sound okay. Alright, and that is basically how to play chorus 2. Break 2. Alright, now there's another little break which is going to take us from playing those chords in the second chorus back up to picking, and it's giving us a little bit of time basically with bars that are counted out to physically move across, and this is because we still learn to play the guitar and we can't jump nice and quick yet, which takes a lot of time and practice. So break number 2 is with your A major chord, and you're going to strum it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is all you're going to do. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the and all of that sort of in between chord changes is up to you again. It's a comfort thing. You'll start noticing that you sort of have an inclination and you want to play those anders because it spices up your playing and it emphasizes sort of a next bar or a next chord. So play it however you like. I'm going to always add those anders in because it sounds good. So the break number 2 is very simple. You're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and on your A chord, and then your next bar 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're just going to let that ring out. So stop the video, have a look at your notes again, and just practice that until it's nice and comfortable, and then you can move on to the next section. And that is basically how to play break 2. All sections together. Alright, so now that we've learnt all the different sort of parts and the verses and the chorus 2, the breaks, we need to add that all together. And we're going to do it in a way that I've sort of put them together. It's not exactly how the song goes if you listen to it, but for you playing on your own, on your guitar, it's less monotonous, less boring. So we're going to do it this way. This is what it looks like. You've got the intro, verse, chorus 1, verse, break 1, chorus 2, break 2, verse, break 1, chorus 2, break 2, verse, and an outro, which is like break 1. So what you do now is you have all your notes out and all the different sections, and you've practiced all those sections individually. Then you just play one after another going through that list, and you'll be basically playing the song. Now I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. That's going to be me playing all of those sections together, sort of without any breaks, and that'll be sort of what you're going to aim for, and that's your goal, to be able to play Snow Patrol, Chasing Cars. And that is basically all sections together. there we have it. That was lesson 2 of the second term. So in this week we've learned 2 songs, and it's a lot to learn, but they're not too difficult each song, and there's not a huge amount that goes into them. So spend a lot of time practicing all of those sections on their own. So Zombie, practice all the sections and then try and play it all together. Same with Chasing Cars, practice all those sections and put them all together and try and play the whole song through. You should be able to learn these songs within a week, but getting them smooth and getting them sounding really good takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. So by the end of the week, if you can kind of play them, that's great. Just keep practicing, and these are 2 songs that will go into your repertoire book, and you'll be able to, play them. So it takes a long time for them to get really good and really comfortable. So give yourself that time and give yourself a lot of practice. Thank you very much for joining us. If you need to find us, you can find us on Facebook. You can leave your posts, comments and queries, and we'll get back to you and all that sort of stuff. And we'll see you in lesson 3.